Good morning, everybody. This is Jill. I'm a creative designer for Paper Sweeties, and we had a request from a customer to show how you stamp the Paper Sweeties dolls and also dress them. And so today I'm going to work with the Let It Snow stamp set to use an outfit, a winter outfit, to dress Abigail. And this is Abigail right here. And I'm going to show you how I stamp and die cut Abigail, and then how to paper piece her clothing, okay? And there's a few different ways you can do. You can stamp onto pattern paper to paper piece, or you can just stamp onto regular cardstock and trim it out of the cardstock to dress her. So let's get started, okay? First of all, you want to mount your stamp on a clear block. And you could also use the MISTI for this if you wanted to. But for for people that don't have a MISTI, you just need a stamp block. And then you want to stamp in an ink that is good with Copic markers if you're going to color. And you normally will be coloring the face and hair. So it's good to use, usually I use Memento Tuxedo Black or the Memento Cocoa, but some form of ink that you can stamp with that is good with Copic markers, okay? And so I'm going to go ahead and just stamp her down on the paper here. And I always let the stamp rest on the paper for at least 3 to 5 seconds so I get a good impression. But there she is, all stamped out, and I then take the die, and you could do this a different way, but this is how I do it usually. I usually stamp first, and then I will position the die very carefully over it, and then I use some washi tape to tape the die in place. And let me go grab my washi tape really quick here. Sorry, I forgot to grab it before I came on. So what you want to do then is just make sure that you position the die right over the image. And you can kind of fiddle with it and move it around until you think you've got it right where you want it to be. Okay. And if you don't cut it out perfectly the first time, you can always restamp and do it again. It's just paper. But the other thing too you can do is if it's kind of lopsided after you cut it out and one side has more white than the other, you can always take your scissor and just trim off the area where maybe it isn't centered to your liking. So let's see how I do this time. I've got my Big Shot here, and I'm just going to run this through. And set that aside, and I'll get this out of the way. Okay, and I'm just going to release my die. I'll set these aside in case we need to do this again. And let's take a look. Okay, so there's my die cut, and it's all ready to be colored. Okay, and if you want to, what's nice about having the die is it cuts out the body very nicely, and you could just leave it just like this. But if you want to, you can go in and trim. Now that it's all cut out, you could go around and trim it a little bit more if you want to. If it's slightly lopsided or you just feel like you didn't do a perfect job of die cutting, always just use your scissors to make it look right. Or if it comes out that you really did a bad job, you just redo it, you know. But generally speaking, when I place the die over my already stamped image, I usually have really good luck. And after you've done it a few times, you just get used to doing it and you kind of know where to put the die. So there's our image, and it's all ready to go. And I'm going to just take, I'm going to set aside my cardstock because we're done with that. And I'm just working on a piece of paper here to do my coloring. And let's see, I usually start by doing, and I guess I should preface this by saying that I am not a trained person with Copics. I'm an amateur. But I usually start with EOO, which is called Skin White. And I usually just go ahead and shade the face and I look at whatever outfit I am dressing, I'm going to be dressing Abigail in, and that is what I will use as a guide for my coloring. So I know I want to use this, and this is a long-sleeved outfit, so actually none of her hands are going to show and not much of her neck, but I'm going to go ahead and color just this little neck area down. But the rest of this is all going to be covered up when I stamp out her coat. And her boots, you can use this either as a pair of boots or you can add the skates on the bottom depending on what scene you're creating. So I do need to color her legs because she is wearing a coat and probably a dress. So I'm going to go ahead and put some color just on her legs down to where I think her shoes would be covering. Okay, so that's just some basic, very basic skin color added so far, and that's all I've done. But what I do next usually is I make some little pink cheeks, and you can go over your coloring a couple times to get a nice depth. And then you can also add shading. Several of our creative designers are very, very good colorers. People like Michelle Bala and Mackie, and there are several others that are really good at coloring and shading and everything. That's really not my strong suit yet, but I can get by a little bit, you know, just by kind of faking it. But there are some great online coloring classes too that you can do. Sandy Allnock is a Copic master, and she has wonderful videos if you want to go to her channel, and you can learn more about coloring from her just by watching her videos even, but she also does classes that are wonderful. And so there's just a little bit of shading, and I'm just going to kind of blend that in a little bit more. And then we need to do her hair. I think I'm just going to do her hair in a really simple brown color. This is the pink color that I was using, I'm not showing you markers, am I? Was EO2, and it is called, it's EO2 and it's called Fruit Pink. Okay, so that's what I did the cheeks with. This is E35 and it is called, oh boy, Chamois, I believe is the name of it. Boy, you know, I can tell I'm getting old because I'm having a hard time even reading these. And I'm down in my basement where it's a little bit dark to begin with. But anyway, so I'm going to go on here and just add some color to her hair. And the reason I'm keeping it really simple is because I don't want this video to take just be too long. I don't have editing software at this time, and I need to learn how to edit my videos so I can cut out a lot of the parts that you guys really don't need to see. What we'll do for today is just keep the coloring of the hair really simple. You can add incredible highlights when you're coloring hair. There's lots of really talented people out there that color hair beautifully. My friend Cindy Hosel is a channel. You can watch her channel. I'll try and link some channels below. And then Sybil Stevens is another person who does incredible cards and Copic coloring. But there's all sorts of people. If you just type in coloring on YouTube, you'll have a plethora of videos to watch. So I'm just trying to give a little bit of color into the hair here. And again, I'm just keeping it simple. And when you're just starting out, you know, you just want to add some color. It doesn't have to be, you know, it doesn't have to have all the shading and everything to be adorable. So keep that in mind too. Simple is very fine, is just fine and precious. So there's some hair. I'm not even going to shade it because otherwise this video is just going to be too long. I'm going to give her a pink bow in her hair. So I'm just coloring with a little pink bow here. And you don't have to use Copic markers either. This is RV23 Pure Pink. And if you don't have Copics, any markers will work. Colored pencils, whatever you have, whatever color medium that you have available is just fine. So just going to add a little bit more there. Okay. All right. Okay, so now we're ready to dress Abigail. We're going to dress her again in this sweet little outfit. And there's a couple different ways you can do this, okay? What I'm going to do, I'm going to set Abigail aside over there. I'm just going to load her outfit on a stamp block. And just to keep it simple today, I'm just going to do the boots, and I'm not going to do the ice skates. And then, and I probably should have gotten paper out and ready ahead of time, but I didn't. So let's see. There's a couple different things you could do. Whoops. If you just want to use cardstock, you can stamp out the images and then just use your Copics to color them in. Okay, so that's the first thing you can do. So I'm just going to take my original piece of cardstock that I just cut her out of, and I'm just going to stamp her outfit onto white cardstock. And this is the same brown ink that I used to stamp her in. And then you can just color these, okay? So since we gave her a pink bow, let's go ahead and color the cuffs and her mittens the same pink as the bow in her hair. So we'll do her mittens and her cuffs in this same pink as the bow. Alright, and then, do I have any other pinks over here? I don't. I'm going to grab just a lighter pink from my Copic stash over here. It's hard to anticipate everything you're going to need when you're doing a video, but for me to film a video I have to move to a different area of my room. I don't sit at my coloring desk to do videos. That's a little too dark. Let's try this one. Alright, so I'm just going to color this in. Again, just keeping it really simple. If I had editing software and kind of knew what I was doing more, I would go ahead and speed the coloring up for you guys so that you don't have to sit here and watch me color for so long. But right now I haven't quite figured it out. I've tried a couple times, but alright. So what's neat about Copics is you just keep coloring. You can put down like 2 or 3 layers of color and the depth improves with each layer, but you also don't want to oversaturate the cardstock either. And I am just doing a simple plain flat coloring here. Alright, and then let's do her hat with the darker pink rim. And what's neat about the hat is that you can add a little bow, you could add a little sequin to decorate the hat once you have everything trimmed out and ready to go. So we'll just use that to color that. Put the lighter pink up above. And I'm going to give the coat one more little she's going to be wearing a very pink outfit. A winter pink coat. And then let's do her skates. Alright, so then once you have it kind of all colored up and you're ready to just trim it out. And when you trim it out, you want to use a pair of scissors that are a little bit small, you don't want to, you know, you could trim it with a really big pair of scissors, but I find that for me, it's a lot easier to use a smaller pair of scissors. And so I just have a little pair of craft scissors here. And the first thing I do is I cut away the big part of the cardstock for what I'm going to be cutting. So go ahead and trim away the bigger pieces first so that you have a smaller piece to work with. And then whenever you're going to trim something out, you really want to turn the paper and leave your scissors stationary. So I usually am turning the paper and letting my scissors do the cutting to go around the outside of the image. And if you're not sure how close you're getting, trim off what you did so far and then go back in and you can trim any excess that you missed. And you're trying to trim right up against the line of the stamp. So you just keep going, you know, keep turning the cardstock and let the scissor do the work. Okay, and you're just going to continue to go around the image until you have it all trimmed out. Okay, so you can see it doesn't take that long. And you just keep going like so. You can make little small cuts if you have a little delicate area to go into. Just make some small cuts and then pull the paper away after you trim it. So cut up into the area that needs to come out, and then you can cut across to snip that little piece out like that. And then it's up to you whether you want to go ahead and trim up into it to get this little white piece out in here. I tend to do it. It's not that hard. Just let your scissors do the work for you. And then just pull the piece out. Okay, so you can see how that's coming together. And I know my camera, I don't think the camera I'm using that I have to use in order to film overhead, unfortunately, it doesn't do close-ups very well. So I hope you can at least get the gist of what I'm doing. It's probably going to be a little bit blurry the closer I am to the camera, unfortunately. This is just a little flip-it camera, flip video or whatever. And it isn't like my Canon camera that I normally use. But I can't find a way to hold my Canon camera over so that I can do this type of a filming for a tutorial. So this is the best I can do for now, and hopefully someone else on the Paper Sweeties team will eventually want to do videos, because tutorials they're a lot of work. You have to be able to edit and stuff, and I'm just helping out. I'm not an expert on video making. My hat's off to the Jennifer McGuires and all the people that do videos, because it's a lot of work. So anyway, so we're just going to keep trimming everything out. Here's the little hat, and what I like about the hats and dressing the dolls is that the hats and stuff give you lots of room for embellishment. And for that matter, even if there isn't a hat, you can always add a little bow to their hair or something, even on top of the stamped bow if you want. And so again, you want to try and trim as close to that brown stamped line, or if you're stamping in black or brown or whatever, as you can. And then the other thing you do is take a pen and you go around the outside of the image once you're done cutting it out. So it's very hard for me to trim these out on camera, because I have to the camera's actually right in my way from where I need to be. But I just want to show you, you're just going to glue those pieces on Here's her little shoes. I haven't trimmed those out yet. But you'll just glue these people in the pieces in place. Go ahead and add a little sequin or a bow or something up here, and then do her shoes, and you would have a completed image all ready to go for a card. So I'm already at 20 minutes, and this is a long video, so I'm going to sign off for now, and I will come back and do a video showing you how I make this into a card after I finish trimming out her shoes and adding them. We'll go ahead and make a card with her, okay? So again, my name is Jill Norwood. I'm a creative designer for Debbie's company, Paper Sweeties, and thank you for watching this video. Take good care. Blessings and hugs, and happy crafting. Bye now.